Hi, my name is Alex Rockwell, and this is my response to Module 1, What is STEM? So a little about me. I am a 4th grade math and science teacher at Dallastown Area Intermediate School. Here you can see my 4th grade team there. We are a learning support team. So of my 100 students, about 30 to 35 of them have IEPs and are diagnosed with a learning disability. In my spare time, I love to read, and I also recently got into running, so I have some pictures here. My dad and I like to run races together, so here we ran the Spartan Advance Half Marathon and the Hershey 10K there, so I like getting to do that with my dad. I went to York College for my undergrad. I have degrees in early childhood education as well as middle level math education. And I'm currently 1 year away, woohoo, from getting my master's from Millersville in the assessment curriculum and teaching with a concentration in STEM. All right, the first question, how do students learn science? And a lot of the reading had to do with building on background knowledge, and building on their background knowledge. I felt like I read that so many times, and it makes the most sense. And definitely being allowed to explore and engage. So instead of just barking at them, facts or reading straight from a textbook, they need that experience. I put 2 quotes in there from the Perspectives on Science Education chapter. And the first one says, in the constructivist model, students construct knowledge by interpreting new experiences in the context of their current conceptions, experiences, and images. So they, get new knowledge, they learn by experiencing rather than just being told. The second statement goes along with that. They come to the classroom with preconceptions about how the world works, and you need to engage that initial understanding that they have. You need to meet them at their level and build upon that. So students learn by building on what they already know and what they've already experienced. So my answer to the next question, how should we teach science? Well, look at how they learn. And it's funny, as I started reading the chapters, the first one, chapters 13 and 14, Perspectives of Science Education, in the very first paragraph of chapter 13, they had the statement, there are no set of genes for effective teaching, which is something that I kind of disagree with. I think that there are things that you can teach someone. You can teach someone how to teach, but a lot of it comes from who you are, and it is innate. You are born with the ability to be an effective teacher. And, down towards the end of that chapter, they had that survey that they asked people of all different ages to rate what was most important or most effective about their science teachers. And across the board, numbers 1 and 2 had nothing to do with something you can teach in a college classroom or something that you can show someone how to do. It was engaging those students and creating those effective relationships, those positive relationships, meeting students at their level. So in a way, I found that kind of contradictory about how should we teach science, because it was, saying that there are no set of genes for effective teaching, but, the most effective teachers are those who do this, which you can't teach someone how to do. So is there a theory? Is there one set way to teach science? I think no, that there is not. One thing might not necessarily be good for all types of learners. I think about my classroom where I have, a science class of 25 students, and 8 of them might have a learning disability, while I have some regular ed students and some higher achieving regular ed students. And it's hard to find that balance, and the way that I teach them is different. The way that I present information to them has to be different. So I don't think that there's necessarily one set theory or one way to teach science. My STEM perspective, as I was reading this, the chapter, I think it was a chapter in a book, What is your perspective on STEM education? I definitely felt like this one resonated with how I teach, and unfortunately a lot of it has to do with the dreaded PSSA. I know it's not the end-all be-all and it's not what's most important, but unfortunately there is a priority to it in districts across the state. I mean, science is only tested in a few grades, and unfortunately, I teach one of them, and that drives a lot of my lessons. So yes, science is the focus, and when I can dabble in technology, engineering, and math, that's great. I don't necessarily agree with that way of teaching, and I know that my district, in my building specifically, is working to incorporate more STEM rather than just science. As far as STEM education goes, what can schools do to support STEM? More time, definitely. I know they went through a lot of schools in that article, and I calculated it, and I teach about 225 minutes a week of science. So a student on my team in my school would receive about 225 minutes a week of science, and that's about 45-minute class a day, and it's still not enough. Definitely not enough. So definitely more time and moving to a STEM or STEAM focus. And it needs to be aligned across grade levels, especially elementary, and have resources available, both physical resources, instructional materials and STEAM challenge resources, as well as professional development to say, how do I get that point across to my students? My goals for the course are to kind of figure out ways to make that happen, where I can get that content across, so when it comes time to take the PSSA, they do know about magnetism, and they do know about ecosystem and plants and animals and outer space and rocks and minerals, and they can answer those critical thinking questions that are asked, but that they've also had hands-on experience, because that's where it shows that students learn the best with that experience. And lastly, my favorite candy bar is anything that has dark chocolate incorporated into it in any way. I know that was one of the Easter eggs that she had on one of her videos. Thank you.